Hey everyone, I just wanted to open up the topic of mental health on here because I feel like as a Christian it's super confusing, just everything that you hear. There's one side where people say like there's no such thing as mental illness, it's all spiritual, like just read your Bible, pray more, listen to what it says, and there's the other side where it's all about brain chemicals. It can just be so confusing. We hear things like don't worry about anything, pray about everything, cast your cares on Him. But what happens when you do all that stuff and then you still can't function because of this crippling anxiety, or even in the cases extreme of like schizophrenia, like how do we so one thing that we really need to address first is that the brain is a physical organ and that it has needs just like any other organ in the body. It has functions, but it's not just this empty space that we can control with our thoughts. Like if there's a chemical imbalance going on, like it's real, it's there. Back like a few years ago, I didn't even believe that there was such a thing as like a chemical imbalance. I was like, well, what is that? Like you should just stop being worried, like just pray more, don't be depressed. But it's just not true. And oftentimes when we're like defensive against something, it really could mean that we're actually struggling with it ourselves, and that was definitely something that I was experiencing at the time. So today I just want to share like 3 things that have been proven to help people heal from and deal with like minor depression, a little bit of anxiety. So number 1 is exercise. And this doesn't mean like that you go be Hercules and like pound the gym, lift a lot of weights, run 10 miles. Like it just means doing normal human movements. And too much exercise can actually make things worse, especially like if your body isn't, healthy or ready for it yet. It can raise your cortisol levels a lot, and that could just cause you to feel like even more stressed out. Number 2 is relationships with other people. This is something that I didn't realize that I was missing in my life. And I was like, what am I to even do with my time? Like everything that's pleasurable, either it costs money or it involves food. And I was like really stuck. Like what in the world is there to do? And I realized like I hadn't just spent time with a person, like hanging out at their house or cooking together, like just spending the whole day together. And once I started doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is such an important part of being human that we can't neglect. Number 3 is your diet. Your brain is a physical chemical organ, and if it does not have the physical chemical components to run properly, it's not going to. Sure, you can do your affirmations, you can positively think, but if your brain is lacking like critical nutrients to run, like you're gonna have a really hard time feeling good. And I more than personally know this myself. The gut and the brain are extremely connected. For instance, if you're nervous about something, you're going to feel those butterflies in your stomach. Or if you have food poisoning, you're going to be pretty depressed and have a bad outlook on life. The connection between these two, it really serves like a strong purpose and a function. Because if you're not getting like what your body needs to keep your gut happy, like it's gonna send alarms off into your brain. So a few of the things that have been proven to improve mental health are things like omega-3s. So things like fish, chia seeds, walnuts are all high in omega-3s, and that really helps our brain to run. Certain fats have been proven to help brain function. Protein is what your neurotransmitters, your brain chemicals, are made of. So if you're not eating enough protein, you're not going to be able to produce any of those. Carbs also serve their place. Like if you want to sort of have that winding down feeling at the end of the day, like a high carb meal isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's going to help you produce serotonin and it's going to help you fall asleep. So it's pretty obvious that there's some sort of connection, but it's kind of just finding out like what is it that our bodies actually need that will help us to feel better. So I'd really encourage you to do your research and to learn and to maybe work with a professional if it's something that you really need. Those are the 3 major things that I have for this video, but I definitely want to know what experience you all have either if God like healed you from a mental illness or like how you prayed your way through it. If you know someone that was like severely affected and didn't get better, like all these different things, your thoughts, your theories, comment it all down below, and I'd really love to keep this conversation going. And just one more thing that I wanted to add to this conversation is if you feel that you're struggling with something, whether it's really extreme or really small, I really encourage you to get help. I know it can be kind of like embarrassing and stressful to have to admit to someone all the craziness that goes on, but just try to just put away that shame and recognize that like people are professionals, they're trained in this stuff, and they really want to help.